Say hello, everyone and no one, and welcome to another episode of Talking to the Void. It is episode 17 with no legitimate of anything other than something. I'll bring up Twitter here in a little bit to go through, but to introduce, as always, with me, we have Tier Alexander. Tier, how you doing?
I'm doing great, my friend. Shitty day, but it ended pretty well.
That's the way it goes sometimes. And we also have Angela Arriaga. Angela, how you doing?
Okay, my voice is playing hide and seek, so
You
this is
sound
gonna be fun.
you sound better than you did before, though. I want to say that. So you sound like you're
You
healing up.
do, but
Thank
Angela, I
you.
want to call you Squeaker.
And then as well, we have James Colley.
I
James, how you
love you.
doing?
Very wonderful and just lovely.
Huh?
I heard just lovely, but it sounded a little muffled.
I say great, wonderful, and just lovely.
Ah.
Okay.
And then the wonderful Mitch the Ripper Nemo is joining us again. Mitch, how you doing?
Splendiferous, I suppose.
All I know
Sure.
currently is I'm just hoping when I go to the gym tomorrow, well, not technically go to the gym, but stop by there before I go to work. Just hopefully someone who found my flashlight and turned it into them and didn't just fucking keep it.
They kept it.
Probably, and that's a fucking like $90 flashlight.
God
Now it
damn.
works, man. I don't care how old you get, a flashlight is just the fucking greatest thing to have handy.
Oh yeah, I typically try
Yeah.
to carry one daily, but like I've damn near torn apart my apartment trying to find where I might have left it when I used it. And I'm like, okay, I didn't have to go into work on Monday, but I did still go to the gym, and I just don't remember it and that whole thing.
I got to tell you, I've been caught in a blackout too many times without a flashlight in a place that is not well lit, and coincidentally, a place where light does not enter at all,
Oh yeah,
with a bunch of shit laying around. So I have to like use the force to get out of the area, and that's in the middle of the day, by the way.
mm-hmm.
So there are certain garages and whatnot and barns that I will not enter without a flashlight.
Oh yeah,
Just on the off chance.
because we went through a whole thing while I was in Japan that they went through a thing where, for at least for my shop, where we had our own personal flashlights we were allowed to have.
Oh,
Granted, they came with the little thing that had like the 3 fucking AAA thing for it, but
I thought you were going to say the three seashells for a second.
Mhm.
but I replaced that with an 18650 battery, and then the sleeve so that way it didn't move around. But like because I carried it so much, instead of just trying to be like everyone else, just shove it in a pocket, then trying to fucking dig that bitch out, since you've got like 13 pockets.
Right.
I actually went and bought a little light hole, like a flashlight holster that I wore at work
Nice.
in uniform. Now that is attached in my truck. So no matter what, I always have a flashlight in at least my truck with extra batteries. I've actually even got a headlamp in there as well, because sometimes you're going to be doing something you don't want to have to touch your flashlight.
Well, I find
Makes
that
sense.
the ancient art of Shin works great.
The ancient art of what?
Shin.
He's
It's
talking
a
about
it's a
walking
Japanese it's a Japanese martial art where you have to use chi in order to sense your way through things. Generally, it's with your shins.
Ah,
Yeah, hard pass.
Oh, Shinto, where you bang your shins and step on your own toe.
Yes.
Exactly.
Because that's one of the
It's-
reasons. That was one of the funny things. Like I've discussed with some of the coworkers and whatnot. Because they were like, "Wait, you carry a flashlight even when you're not in uniform?" I was like, "Pretty much." They're like, "Why? You have your phone on you." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, what's up, Camel, old guy gamer?" I was like,
what up?
because that phone could be needed to contact people, so I'm not trying to kill the battery." And what's up,
Right.
Travis?
I
So
Like I said, man, no matter how old you get, the flashlight is the coolest thing to have handy.
dude, even like a little 1 AAA battery flashlight is still better to have on you than nothing, in my opinion.
Agreed.
And I know like Sinatra's like, "Ugh, I got my phone and I've got the flashlight that's on my gun. And it's just like, yeah, but you might get in trouble if it's a blackout and you're walking around with a pistol out and you got the light on.
Yeah.
So it's like, I also believe in having a light on your pistol as well because you might need it.
Well, I also believe in having a piece of technology that wants to be the piece of technology it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't want
need yeah.
I don't want my phone to make pancakes,
Yeah.
as George Carlin once said.
I don't want my refrigerator to play video games. I agree.
Right. I don't want Amazon fucking around with my refrigerator. Also.
Oh,
That is
dude,
so freaking weird.
when it comes to the technology of that, like, and I think it was either Travis or someone else, I can't remember exactly who, that we were there with. It's like, oh dude, like my refrigerator, my washer and dryer, and my dishwasher are the 3 dumbest technologies I want in my house.
Yes.
That I just want them to work. That's it. I don't need them to connect to the internet.
Yeah, just like our voting machines. I just want them to
Take
Yeah,
Tally
it
up
out.
shit.
punch the hole in the right person's name. For the right candidate.
Yeah.
Hey, Kefki.
Oh, what's up, Kefki? And,
Happy birthday,
yep.
Kepi.
It's Kefki's birthday. Everyone give her a
Jeffy's
balloon.
birthday.
depending on which time zone you're in, it is.
Yeah.
So, regardless, happy birthday.
But don't fill the balloons with farts because she might have a reaction.
Oh my
all
god,
I'm saying.
I'll have to find it somewhere at some point. But I seen a video where it's just I think it was a Japanese girl. She's Asian or whatnot, and she's doing some live stream to where she's not actually scantily clad and whatnot, but she's like laying there talking to whatever it is for her subscribers or the people watching her, and her fucking cat runs up, jumps in front of her face, ass to her face, and farts, and then takes off.
Oh my god.
See, the
God,
cat has
I
the
know
right
that.
idea.
That
I'm
cat's an
sorry.
asshole.
Oh, yes, but the cat's also got the right idea because I subscribe to that idea. Honestly, where like as once again, as Carlin said, don't go to the baseball game with a glove, go with a bat.
Yeah.
Knock that shit back into play. Let them figure it out.
I mean, that's one of those things as well. Like I couldn't do it in Japan, but I can obviously do it here. So I do more of a utilitarian carry for knives. So I usually have about 2 on me. One's not really a knife because it's one of those little things that's got like a pair of fingernail clippers, little pair of scissors and whatnot, and then like a little knife that I just
Yeah.
use to clean my nails with. But then I have a regular knife.
I got to tell you, man, I've got a Swiss Army knife. All the cute little attachments on it. It's not even the big, it's not the briefcase size Swiss Army knife. It's the just a
Yeah.
little tiny thin one.
Mhm.
Handiest fucking tool in my book in my toolbox.
Oh yeah, for like
I swear to God, it's the one I use the most, and the knife blade does not go dull.
Yeah, I got
Really?
this little one that I found because I like got 2 different ones because they also each have like a cuticle scraper thing. But
Yeah.
I gotta carry a set of fingernail clippers on me because, well, I'm missing pieces of bone in my middle fingertip because I bunted wrong when I was younger. So metal bat, 70-mile-an-hour fastball, finger in between. Finger did not win.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, I didn't understand batting or the bunting for that whole thing.
The only thing that I'm not understanding is what that has to do with keeping fingernail clippers on you.
Because the finger does not look like your regular finger. It's a bit messed up. So I don't want that nail to get caught on shit or whatnot occasionally because it has
Ah,
broken on me.
Okay.
And yeah,
Uh,
that shit can suck.
and that's a whole other area of pain too,
Yeah.
because it's a
Finger that
different
don't
kind
look
of pain.
right.
What,
You know,
James?
because oh yeah,
I have a finger that doesn't look right. It's cut off at the first knuckle.
Oof.
Happens to be my middle finger.
Oof.
Yeah, the one thing I've been lucky for is all the bones I've broken are in my right hand.
that
That's
could
cool.
also be
You're left-handed?
unlucky.
It is, considering the fact I'm right-handed as well.
No,
But yeah, I've
Mm.
always believed in that whole, or I shouldn't say always, but that's like for a lot of people who are like, oh, the only reason I carry a knife is to basically like open boxes. It's like, dude, then buy a folding utility knife. You don't have to worry about the blade then.
Right.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah, that's what I got.
you can buy that and then buy like one of those it's basically a pen sharpener where you can use to sharpen fish hooks, serrated knives, and it does have a flat portion as well.
Yeah.
To quite literally resharpen that if it starts going down.
exactly.
And a utility knife blade is stupid fast to sharpen. It's also, you can, spend $10 on a pack of like 50 to 100 utility knife blades and just keep in your bag for work as well.
Exactly.
Which reminds me, I need to put that in my my bag for work, because I do use a backpack, but it's for work, so Monkey's not gonna like lose his shit for some odd reason. Look, I can kind of agree with him. If you're just like a regular adult dude and you're not homeless, you shouldn't be carrying a backpack around unless you are
Camping.
camping. Camping and hiking are two different things, or it's like are different activities in that whole thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, in like general daily life, the only ones I've really given an exception to are a lot of lower enlisted in the military.
All right. To be fair,
I carry a backpack.
for work, I carry a backpack. In the summertime, I keep the essentials in there: sweat rag, deodorant.
Yes,
You know,
but see,
maybe a toothbrush.
Tier, you're doing the exact same thing I am. You're using the backpack for work. So
Now-
that's to carry the things for work. You're not going to the grocery store
Okay.
and that whole
All right.
thing with the backpack with you, that you're not going, and you're not like coming home from work.
Well,
Okay, now I get
when
it.
I go out for my daily walk on my days off, I still run errands, and I carry a big shopping bag, not a big shopping bag, like a cooler bag, so I can carry all my bags in one big ass thing.
Again, that's not a backpack though. See, you're doing a utilitarian thing. You're going with a cooler bag so it can keep the things that need to be cold on that whole thing. This is, we're talking about,
I'm fucking-
you're going to Walmart or like something like that. You're going out to go to whatever, and you're still using a backpack. Now, a lot of lower enlisted, especially in the Marine
okay.
Corps, it's like in the armed forces, because they have to live in the dorms, and depending on who they are, they also all don't have vehicles. So if they're going to carry anything else, they either have to try to carry it all by in their hands, or they can carry a backpack for some of that stuff as well. So it's pretty predominant in lower enlisted in the military.
Yeah.
Especially for those who live on base and are either don't have or can't have a vehicle.
But if you're going to the movies, what are you carrying a backpack for?
Oh,
Because
sneaking
typically
snack.
something
I was
like
just
that, they're
about
gonna
to
they're
say
gonna
that.
do something like that, but they're also gonna be going somewhere else after it. So it's usually gonna
No,
be,
I don't mean those guys. I
Yeah.
mean regular people in everyday life.
Yeah.
If you're going to the movies, what the fuck are you wearing a backpack for?
Yeah.
You ever see those? I've made comment about this a lot about the middle-aged and older women who wear Hello Kitty backpacks.
The fuck.
Exactly.
You're not Asian. Don't do it.
Oh, even if you're
And
Asian,
even if you're
grow out
Asian,
of it.
please stop. Like, unless it's a part of some cosplay or a costume, it's really not necessary.
Yeah, unless you're Kirsten Dunst doing a music video.
Okay. My purse is a backpack backpack style purse.
But
But that
do you
is
have Hello
all-
Kitty on it?
No, no,
Is there any
but
character at all?
yes,
Yes.
actually,
What?
I have a Rocket Raccoon Scentsy Buddy clip clipped in my backpack.
Yes, but that's clipped to your backpack. It doesn't have
Right. It
Like-
wasn't a selling point
Yes.
of the backpack itself.
Oh no,
And by
it had
selling
a bunch
point,
of pockets. That's why I wanted the.
I want to be clear what I'm talking about here. If it's Spider-Man or Wonder Woman or a Care Bear, horseshit. But if it's part of the brand name, like if it's a John Deere
yeah.
and it's part of the logo, that's a different thing too.
When
But,
she was shopping for a new backpack, I tried to get her to get one with camouflage, and she wouldn't do it.
See,
Me?
my thing is, ladies and gentlemen, dress your fucking age, would you please?
At your age,
Unless
at your
it's
age.
unless it's Halloween.
Halloween's a different animal.
Yep.
I don't know how Halloween got all
Slutty
wrapped up
Halloween.
around it being a kid's holiday, because it's not.
Never has been.
No, but they try to make everything for the kids, so the
Oh, dude, that's in
parents
everything.
have to
Well,
deal with the
You
pressure.
play.
Okay,
Go ahead.
they got it all wrapped up around the kids, so that the kids would stop going out and wrecking the neighbor's property. That's actually
Didn't work.
It
I
just made
know.
it worse.
I know. But that was the theory, was they were going to turn around and start having little kids' Halloween parties and trick-or-treating and stuff like that. And it would keep the kids from being little hellions and throwing fruit at the neighbor's door.
Yeah, for maybe 2 hours.
Uh-huh.
But that's not going to get a year's worth of that kind of energy out of a kid.
Oh no.
Personally, I think that we just should take a holiday like Arbor Day, one of the lesser known ones, and turn it into the Purge Day.
Yeah.
Like,
James
You
just
know-
want to beat kids that aren't his because they're fucking up. James, just admit it.
Well, that's
Oh,
kind of
I've-
like I in
I've
some
been putting
cases.
it before.
I know.
That's why in some cases I've kind of like the whole thing. I saw it, I think, is like a meme or I don't remember exactly what, to where it's like, every parent should just have a thing to where they can kind of like at a grocery store or some big box store or whatever, be able to look at the employee or some other person where they kind of give a specific look while the kid's, being a little shithead. And the person quite literally will just say to the kid, they're like, look, your parents love you and think you're special. The rest of us don't give a fuck about you. So when you fall and get hurt, we're going to laugh.
Yep.
Oh, back when I was a kid, but I lived in a small town. My parents gave permission to people in that small town that if they see me fucking up, they had every right to come discipline my ass.
So
you know,
my
And we need to get back to that kind of mentality.
No.
family-
My problem with that, James, is that it sounds like not Hillary Clinton. Maybe it was
Kamala.
Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, there are kids.
It
Yeah,
sounded like
you're
one,
right.
one of those things like it takes a village to raise it. Bullshit.
Yeah.
It kind of does though, but at the same time, here's what we need to do when it comes to that whole village concept.
You notify the parents.
yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, if you catch some kid keying your car on your property, you have every right to stop that fucker from doing it.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying that you need to beat the hell out of them, but if you
Yeah.
need to stop them, physically stop them, then do so.
Well, there's
And
also
then
a big
Get their
difference.
parents there.
Yeah, so it's also a big difference from what a lot of people always want to go with of like discipline and beating the shit out of someone.
They're different
And
things.
I do think that there are a lot of like even like some millennials, so mine and Tier's generation, Gen Xers, and especially boomers that don't realize that, all of a sudden wanting to go 10 rounds in the ring with your kid and they don't know how to box or to do any MMA and fighting them that way isn't discipline. That's just beating the shit out of your kid.
No, that's punishment. You're right. The thing is,
Wait.
No, that's not punishment. Punishment is
that's
something
revenge.
yeah.
Actually,
No, wait, hold on. It depends on the situation. So I remember vividly there was a kid that was bullying another kid. So his father took him to a boxing ring and made him go 10 rounds with like one of the boxers there.
That's different. That's showing someone a lesson, but because your kid fucking backtalk you, all of a sudden you're fucking throwing bows, putting them in an armbar or shit like that, and just beating the hell out of them. That's not discipline. That's not even punishment.
Yeah.
That's just kicking the shit out of someone. With what you're talking about, that's teaching a child a valuable lesson. You want to bully someone? All right, let's put you up against someone you can't beat. You gonna try to bully this person?
Yeah.
Oh no! You don't get to get out of this. You got to go toe to toe with them. We're gonna see how long until you just drop, because they're not gonna beat the shit out of you.
and see, here's how it works. At least this is my interpretation of things. When it comes to children, discipline is the use of a punishment to reinforce the introduction of a sense of responsibility into the child.
Mhm.
Punishment for the sake of punishment is either being a bully, an asshole, which are not mutually exclusive,
Mm-hmm.
or just vengeance. And that's where the motivation is selfish, I think. Whereas with the discipline, it's not a selfish motivation. It's not, because it's not just about you and how you look and how your kid made you look. How many people have heard that shit from their parents? How do you think this makes me look? Fuck you.
Yeah.
That's how I think this makes you look. I hate that shit. Don't lay that shit on a fucking kid. 7-year-old kid doesn't understand that kind of shit. Don't lay that on them.
Mm-hmm.
But you do get in there, you explain shit to the kid, say, this is what you did wrong. This is why you're getting punished. And in the future, maybe try some of these other steps to seek recompense for your whatever, you know?
Hey, Camel, the last time I got my ass beat, it's amazing. I do not have like psychological trauma pertaining to Goofy, because I had an imprint of Goofy from my brother's leather belt above my ass for 2 weeks because my mom slit, like, she caught me just right. That's the reason it was the last time I got my ass beat, because she felt bad. Because something happened weird where she caught me just wrong enough that I had a goofy-shaped imprint right above my ass for 2 weeks.
Here, I got an idea. A word I can't get out is what I've got. I have a notion. And I want to run it by you guys. Do you think trauma is more likely to occur in people who don't think they have it coming? Because let's face it, sometimes when you get punished, you know you had it coming. It's like, well, all right. This one's on me. Okay.
Yeah.
I get it. Here's the switch from the backyard. I get it.
You know, I fucked up. Here's my punishment. Karma got me. I can't do nothing but accept this one.
Yeah, because I think people who realize they fucked up are less likely to run around crying trauma. Well, and let me explain what I mean by crying trauma. Okay. Since the mid 70s, with all those stupid afternoon talk shows and daytime talk shows that we've had since then, we have essentially equipped people who perform badly, who act badly, who
behave badly.
Yeah. We've equipped those people with the language of excuses. Because now everyone's got anxiety over something, or some kind of anxiety, or
I got generational fucking trauma.
Yeah. We've equipped them with the language of making excuses for their bad behavior. And we've also taken away the responsibility from normal people to hold such people responsible for their bad behavior because we don't want to be viewed as monsters. Well, you know what? I think I'm a monster who no longer cares how I'm viewed.
Yeah.
Well, so like I know when it comes to the discipline thing and everything, when having that discussion with people, it's like I never really had to get the spankings and shit like that. But that was mostly because, well, my mom wasn't really into it, and it's not what my dad believed in, considering, he grew up with the whole thing of having an older sister and an older brother, that his father did well, one of y'all's in trouble, y'all getting a whooping.
That's
yeah.
how.
Collective
Yeah,
punishment.
That's how it worked with us. It's been building up and building up, and this one thing was like the straw that broke the camel's back. Sorry, hey camel. And now everybody's getting their ass whooped right now.
Oh yeah, my brothers and sisters. My dad was
And
damn it.
when my mom was really pissed, it was go find something for me to spank you with.
Yep.
This one time, my mom says that, and I turn around and I come back with one of her flip-flops because I'm like, her weapons of choice: leather belt, flip-flop, wooden spoon. Flip-flop hurts the least.
Ouch.
So I come back with one of her flip-flops. My brother decides he's going to be smart. Comes back with the belt to her terry cloth bathrobe. My mom's like, now you really think about this, because I can make this hurt you. Do you want me to do that? Or do you want to go and get me something else?
See,
And I turned around and I told him, because I'm like, she can tie knots in that shit and wet it, and that's going to really hurt.
not only
Go
that,
get
but you're adding smartass and audacity to the list of crimes.
But I'm
Yeah, you're fucking up.
like, go get something else. So he's smart and brings back the other flip-flop.
Now,
And
see,
then he's
but
like, what could she have done? How was that going to hurt? And I had to explain to him. Number one, you pissed her off even more. Number two, nuts and water makes that shit hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Not to water make anything hurt. Shit. A wet towel, a dry towel doesn't fucking feel, doesn't hurt. A wet towel?
oh boy.
Exactly.
Well, for a dry towel, it can also be dependent on how it's used. And what's up,
That's
Batman?
true.
What up, Batman?
Hey, Bats.
I thought she was going to fucking choke him out. Shit.
No, actually, she almost laughed, and I saw it. And I was like, oh god, she's even more mad because now she almost broke.
Well, I kind of look at it like this. Any kid that's ever gotten a switching looks at deforestation in a different manner.
Wow.
I guess I've always been lucky. I've never. I lived in the city all my life, so we didn't have very many trees. So I never got switched. My mother was clever enough not to use a extension cord or anything like that because it would leave marks. But she had leather belts all up and down the goddamn house. I never got hit with a shoe. I always got that leather belt. And motherfucker did that hurt.
Let me tell you, a flip-flop is a lot softer than a leather belt.
My grandmother
And
threw a
Mine
slap
has.
curve and hit me around the corner. I know it hurts.
It depends on who's wielding the chancla.
well, now if you're just using it as a spanking apparatus, you have a couple of advantages with the flip flop. Let's be honest. You don't have the same leverage. It's not as long. It's not as long, so you don't have as much leverage. But also, it covers a lot more area than the thin strap of a belt, for example.
Exactly.
So it's got less sting. I'm not saying it doesn't hurt.
But it does not
I'm-
hurt as bad
I'm
as
I'm
like
just saying
a wooden spoon.
I'm saying a
My
wooden
mom was
spoon
a
is better.
lesbian. She doesn't wear flip flops. Never got a flip flop.
See, my dad when he was all stressed out from Korea and Vietnam. I was the only one who never got it because I was the youngest. But my brothers and my sister did. But they were also smart. They started, when your father gets on, once those words came out of my mother's mouth, or if they just knew that they were about to get caught and get their asses whooped, they would put a newspaper down their pants to blunt the impact. But if they didn't act like it hurt, they knew they'd get caught.
Yeah.
Man, they're clever. I never thought of that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think my dad
Well,
told me
yeah.
about the time he actually fought back anything of making it hurt basically just to piss his own mother off.
Oh yeah. There's some kids who will do that. They will fucking.
Well, it was kind of after one of those whole things of like, you ask the question to where you cannot not expect to have someone have a sarcastic answer, or like the parent asks a stupid question and gets the proper answer, and it's just like, don't get smart with me. It's like, how the fuck am I getting smart with me? You asked me a question, I gave you the answer, and you're pissed off?
Like, there's no way I can answer this, but I'll give you a smart ass answer. Like, don't ask questions you literally know the answer to.
You know what? There's okay. I'm on record. I think parents are full of shit. Okay, almost exclusively, and here's why.
Okay.
On the one hand,
Choose to exclude myself from that.
well, I'm not a parent, not really.
I am.
But on the one hand, like I already mentioned it, parents with the "how do you think this makes me look?" Oh, fuck you, you're full of shit. That's being full of shit.
I have never
Asking those questions that we've just talked about, that's being full of shit. Telling you that you're being selfish anytime you disagree with your parents, that's being full of shit. But
How
the
toxic
biggest
is
full
that?
of shit thing that parents do is they're only, again, this is a hashtag not all scenario, but all too often, the only time parents will be on a kid's side or be like, good job or whatever, it's only when the kid does something the parent likes.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't like football and I would rather be in drama, then there are no good jobs or attaboys because it's not what the parent wants me to do. That's being full of shit. Parents are full of shit.
Yeah.
And
That is
people
full of
got
shit.
to start calling them out on this shit. Parents act like, oh, I'm going to go on a rant, aren't I? God damn it.
I was actually,
Parents,
that's actually one of the funny things about, because of what my dad went through and everything. He's like, he went through sports, but the way his father was, the only sport he believed in, my grandfather, was boxing. So he never went to anything for wrestling, football, baseball, any of that. So my dad, because of that, he's like, I'm going to be supportive. And I played the sports my brother played because he's my big brother and I'm going to copy him.
yeah.
And that whole thing. So he wasn't the happiest about soccer, but as long as he didn't have to work, his ass was fucking there. And he was
Right.
fucking cheering people on. He looked up shit about the game and everything, so that way he could be a part of it.
Right, exactly. But a lot of times we got to just call parents out on their bullshit as much as we need to call anyone else out on their bullshit. Whatever. Restaurant owners who are so desperate for having a good steady stream of business that they'll let the customers get away with all manner of criminal activity.
Mm-hmm.
Let them talk shit about the employee too.
God,
Yeah.
like for the parents, when that always bothers me of like, hey, it's like, you tell the parent like, your kid probably shouldn't be doing that. Are you a parent? Don't tell me how to raise my kid. All right. Your kid
All
can
right.
keep, it's like your
All
kid
right,
can
I
keep,
won't. I
It's
won't
like-
tell you how to raise your kid, but I'll tell you how not to raise your kid and how not to let your kid behave around me and my property, you little fucker.
Oh no, on
Alright,
a lot of
I
that shit, it's
got-
like,
I'll get
oh,
angry.
hold on, it's like on a lot of that shit I've seen it to where it's like, all right, your kid can go back to eating fucking dirty ass foam.
Alright. I got 2 stories for this, and both of them revolve around me being at work in a slightly in an official capacity. All right, one time I'm walking toward to like my duty station, and I see kids ripping and running and jumping on the baggage belt where the bags come out and starts moving. I immediately tell them to get off and stop. The mom comes at me and say, don't talk to my kids like that." And I go, "Ma'am, if that belt suddenly kicks on and your kids jerk back because they're ripping and running and bust their fucking heads, it's not our fault. Get them." And she's like, "Oh shit, get them."
Yeah.
And she probably don't y'all run, don't y'all jump on that. Another time, all right, mom has 2 bags, and this little tiny little baby, maybe 3 or 4, is not even 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 19, about 30 steps away from her. And the mom's up front. And I'm like, "Ma'am, is that your kid?" "Yeah." Get her. Different time, different days, maybe months apart. Get her. Why? She fine. If someone grabs her because your ass isn't paying fucking attention, again, she's 30 steps away from you.
Oh,
Well, it's
God,
like you don't have to be a complete helicopter parent, but you should be paying attention to what your kids are doing. And especially in a
Yes.
crowded area like an airport, because I still grew up in a thing. I grew up in a rural area to where quite literally it was that whole thing where it's like you'd have to stop for a minute and be like, wait, did I hear my parents yell?
Monsters are every fucking way nowadays. And again, little tiny barely 5, maybe 4 if I'm being generous, maybe 6, something around that area. If someone grabs her and runs out the fucking door because you're 30 steps in front of her,
Back turn,
What are you
not
gonna
paying
do?
attention.
yeah. And in the air, I want to. It wasn't really busy. There aren't many hiding places, and I'm using air quotes in my airport that cameras are everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Like we see all, but you don't know that.
Well, look, let's run this airport scenario. Both cases with the what was that, running on the baggage belt thingy?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the first thing that happens when the parent who's ignoring their kid discovers their kid was injured because the parent was ignoring them? What's the first thing that's going to happen? Because
Someone
that
else
happened
will
on
get
a
blamed.
baggage. Because that happened on a baggage belt at an airport. What is the first thing that's going to happen?
They're going to want to see the airport.
That's right. The airport is going to be held liable, either civilly or criminally, or both.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's both. So if you don't tell that parent to get off their fat ass and start raising their kid properly, you accept the liability for any harm that comes to that kid.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important. Same thing. Kids running around in a restaurant, no one in the restaurant says anything because the owner's too big a chicken shit to upset a customer. Then that owner is accepting the liability.
And the weird thing is for the restaurant ones, it's always like, if you said something, you would actually bring in more customers in a lot of cases.
Yes.
Because people are like, cool, I can go here and know that people aren't just going to run amok, and I'm willing to spend my money here, even if it costs a little bit more.
It has long been my business philosophy to separate the good clients from the bad clients by sending the bad clients to your competition.
Yeah. I will be back in just a moment, so
Right.
That's
continue.
funny,
Sorry
and
about
I would like to that one is a good one. That one's a good one.
Because I mean, honestly, and one of the other side of that is reward your good clients. You know, if you can find a way to reward your good clients, they're already good customers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're
Yep.
already happy with you. But to be, and then when you throw a little something extra on top of that, boom.
Now they love you.
Hey, Joey, this is this new thing I created in the kitchen. How about you want a sample of it? Tell me what you think. That's a reward for a customer because they're going to get a little freebie, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a little, hey, look, a little fucking donut with no hole in it. It's a Danish. What do you, hey, look at this. I got this shit for free. I never complain about my meal being, you know, and you know, you make your good customers that much happier. I used to do that because I was a test bed guy, you know, in the
Mhm.
kitchen. I would test you. I'm coming up with shit left on macho nacho pizza. My testing process was, I'd make it, test it on me. Nope, don't like it. Got to perfect it. But when I think I had it perfected, I'd try it myself, then try it with the people I live with, then try it with my coworkers, and then try it with my customers, because the customers are the final piece of the puzzle. If they like it, bam,
It goes on the menu.
pretty much. And
Nice.
and boom, you know, those customers, that's what you do that with your good customers. You don't do that with your shitty customers who come in and piss and moan because they because the menu clearly states that meatballs are extra if you want spaghetti and meatballs.
Yeah.
You know, they'll tell you how ridiculous it is that that they have to pay an extra $1 for 2 meatballs when it says clearly on the menu that spaghetti is $5, spaghetti and meatballs is $6.
Yeah.
And
Or they
they'll
gotta
complain
pay a
about it.
tax.
And oh yeah, that, don't get me started on that. And then who's the other one? The owner, the business owner, is again so fucking desperate that they'll give everything away on the off chance that someone might know how to input a Yelp review. Because that's another thing. You do not show bad customers that you're desperate,
Oh,
because they will
Not
fucking
ever.
yeah, they will take advantage of that forever. Because all you're doing is training them to come into your restaurant and complain.
no. Mm-hmm.
And it's the same is true of any business.
Same
Never,
is true for any service.
yeah,
It-
you don't train them to come in and complain and get shit for free.
Yep.
You know, when I was a service writer at a Ford dealership, the owner of that business, they try upsell all this stuff as much as you can, upsell all these little services, fuel flush, and fucking, you know, all this junk, upsell this stuff, it's more money for the business. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. Let everyone else upsell that stuff. I'm going to be the guy that the customer remembers
Yeah.
for not trying to bullshit them into spending money.
Right?
Yeah.
I am the exact same way on that.
Yeah.
And because they're the business owner, and I understand the business owner's position there.
yeah.
They want as much money from every customer every time. And I'm like, okay, that's great. What about repeat business?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm very
Let me work on building the repeat business. Let everyone else work on everything else.
even when I was at the convention center.
I did read that, Batman.
It was always, what do you want to do with your internet? Okay, well, you ordered 15 megs and you just want to check your email. You don't even need a dedicated line. You can get this. And this only costs you, like, I think it was $189 or something. Whereas the other thing they're trying to order is like over $1,000.
Exactly.
And
I mean,
like, you don't need that.
now I did this 2 ways. In automotive business, it's a bit different, but I did this 2 ways. I was honest with my customers. Told them, look, this is what it's going to cost. I think we can get you a deal if we go aftermarket on some of these parts, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but the important part is they're spending the money here instead of going to the other place halfway across town.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the only
And-
reason I'm not going to my dealership is because I called about a problem I have, and got to finally to where it was supposed to talk to someone who should be able to troubleshoot it. Left a message, never got called back.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
I called one of the other places where my cousin works in their diesel department, and that whole thing, they're like, yeah, it's still going to have to the diagnosis. Like, that's like $60 and it should only take a half hour. We should be able to have down to what we need, or it's like what we'll need to do, and then we can go from there. Like, unfortunately, we won't be able to get you in before X time, so I have to call them tomorrow, set up a day that I'm going to go in and drop off my truck, and then also take that Thursday and the Friday off of work, just in case it takes longer than a day.
Right. And it's I was so upfront with people. I'd be like, "Hey, Dave, yeah, Mitch over at the Ford dealership. You're going to be really upset with me in a second." I was that blunt about it because, fuck it, what else can you do?
Yeah.
And it got to the point where people were like, "Here, Mitch, sell this to this insurance company." And you know what insurance companies are like. They don't want to spend shit.
Oh God, I hate insurance companies with a passion.
Oh, it's terrible. With the here's the worst part is the sales department will tell the customer that the warranty they're getting with the car is a factory warranty when it's an aftermarket warranty. And they'll tell them, they'll sell them the powertrain warranty and tell them it covers everything bumper to bumper.
Mm-hmm. But it doesn't.
What?
No, it doesn't. And holy shit. Well, they decided Mitch is going to be the guy to work with the insurance companies. And I got so fed up with the insurance companies that, I just started seeing the pattern, what they wanted every time we called them up to get a okay on a repair. So I built in Microsoft Excel, I built a form that I could fill out easily and create a situation where I don't have to go double check things anymore. I can just sell the job to the insurance company in one phone call. because
Nice.
I went in prepared.
Yeah.
And I was such a bastard about it that at the bottom of the form I wrote have a nice day, because I'd have to fax it over to the insurance company. I have in small print at the bottom it'd say have a nice day. In smaller print under that it would say nice day subject to change.
Wow.
And I'm convinced
That was brilliant.
I'm convinced that because of that joke, a lot of the adjusters who got my fax were like, fuck it, sold. And I showed I wasn't trying to get away with anything too. I told them which labor time guide I'm using. It's one of the ones they use, yada yada yada. And I just made sure not only that the ducks were in a row, but they were arranged by height.
Yeah, you went and took a little extra effort.
Oh yeah, I got basically it was basically to cut off the insurance companies before they had anything to complain about.
Mm-hmm.
I shut them down before they had a chance to piss me off. And boom, suddenly I'm the guy selling all the work to the insurance companies.
Head off the bitchin' at the pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
There
as
you
a
go.
result, those customers, the ones who own the cars, where they used to have to wait 5 days or so to get the okay from the insurance company because there was so much back and forth, I'm cutting that down to a day and a half to 2 days.
Nice.
There you go.
They probably
And
love
boom.
that.
The customers are happy. They know what the warranty really covers now because I've informed them. And I did it in a way that was,
Amusing.
I braced them for the impact by telling them they're going to be unhappy with me. So
Mhm.
they knew it was coming. And they didn't have to wait and wonder what they're going to do without their car for a week.
Yeah.
And boom, repeat business. And
You were
it's all
straightforward with them.
Yeah, I mean, I was straightforward with our real customer. That's the one who brings the car in, and our theoretical customer, the insurance company.
Yep.
Got
And,
all
hey, look at all this business we're getting now because of someone being straight up with everybody and not trying to sell a bunch of hack horse shit.
I was gonna say, all that reminds me of is the old joke to where a woman talked about how she ended up getting like 17, like she got into an accident. The insurance company put 1,700 into her bank account, so she went and spent it on a whole bunch of stuff after she had turned her car in to get it repaired. And when it got done, like, hey, by the way, that $1,700 your insurance company should have paid you. And she's like, what? I thought that was just a gift to me.
Moron.
It's like, oh my god, are you that fucking stupid?
Yeah, because a lot of times
Yes.
the insurance companies won't pay the bill up front, but they will reimburse you.
Yeah.
And as a customer, you gotta have a business head about you for like 5 minutes and really figure out what's happening there.
Oh yeah.
So when the asshole hit my steps and destroyed my steps, I had to go back and forth with his insurance company.
Oh yeah.
And that shit fucking pissed me off. But they managed. He was high as a fucking kite, so they had to pay.
Yeah.
Sound like it's been a rough day here.
Oh no, this was sometime in May.
No, I'm saying I'm listening to your voice.
Oh no,
And you sound like you've had a rough day.
Oh no, I hadn't had anything to drink in a while, so.
Ah,
Oh yeah, Travis. Home warranties with appliances, shit, same deal.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the same companies. You know, and none of them want to pay out when they're supposed to pay out. No wonder they have a shit reputation.
Well,
You know,
yeah,
maybe-
because there's people that will invest into the fucking insurance companies, and they're trying to use that money for like shareholders and shit like that. And it's like, dude, that's not what an insurance company is for.
Right.
What? We're not supposed to make shareholders money? Really? Since when?
Well, no, I'm not saying
Well,
that they're not
they'd
supposed to make the.
they'd make the shareholders money if they started operating using good business ethics.
Yeah.
But
good
they don't.
business.
They want to pay off all the
What
claims
is
for their
that?
buddies when they shouldn't, and they want to screw you when they should, or no,
Should.
when they shouldn't. Yes, they will nickel and dime everything, Travis. They absolutely will.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of a good business practice. That's being
Well, that's like for medical
That's due
insurance. They'll be
diligence.
like, "Oh, we don't know if you necessarily need this surgery that your doctor says you need."
it's to remove the spike from my face. You know?
What? You could live with that spike in your face. That
Like that-
spike is fine.
That was one of the funnier things of when I had the cyst was going to get the cyst removed from my left wrist. That they ended up finding wrapped around my wrist instead of the traditional going through the wrist for how big of a bulge it had, because it wrapped around my wrist 270 degrees.
Oof.
And when I first went, I was like, hey, since I know I'm getting out of the military, I would really like to get this removed because it does bother me doing push-ups and shit like that. And quite literally, I can't remember if it was the doctor or the nurse. They're like, well, can you just not do push-ups?
Was this the
No.
VA?
No, this was active. Well, I was still active duty. Like, I need
Okay.
to set up my VA stuff, but no, this was active duty. And I'm like, you do realize we all have to take PT tests, right? Like, I can't be exempt from that forever.
When my ex joined the military,
Doc and her
Yeah,
son did it.
required.
Stop doing it.
they required all spouses to take a psychological exam. I turn around, I take my psychological exam. I know that at the very least they're going to come up with you're clinically depressed because I have clinical depression.
What they say, you're fine.
It's someone landing a
No.
spaceship.
Well, no. I'm calling the aliens.
Oh, all right.
Your results came back that you're bipolar. But they also came back that you're not a danger to either yourself or others. So we're not going to put that in your record, and we're not going to worry about it right now.
Oh yeah, that shit used to hurt me and things like that. It's like if it's something that should be in your records, put it actually in there. But no, I was like, this thing's bothered me for some of my things for work and all that. And basically their whole thing was like, well, can you just not do that? It's like, okay,
No.
I know the whole thing of like the joke is for the most people in the Air Force, they're like they're the chair force and always like sitting at a desk or something. But it's like I work aircraft maintenance now. I'm not the greatest at my job, but I still have to do it, and I don't mind wrenching on things. So, no, I can't just avoid it.
Yeah. Can you
But
just
yeah,
not? Fuck.
so it's like I have officially been told that I have bipolar disorder. But I
But
don't
there's no
have
record of it.
bipolar disorder because, yeah, exactly.
It reminds me of my
Which
brother.
is okay because the one time that I they tried to treat me as a civilian, all they did was turn around and give me lithium and tell me that they were going to try to get me into a test case, but I had to be on the lithium for a certain amount of time first. But the lithium made me sick, like really sick. So I just stopped taking it and didn't go back.
Wow.
It's insane. And like I said, it reminds me of my brother. He ran a kitchen in the Coast Guard. And he was passed over for promotion because he came in under budget every year. And while coming in under budget, he was still able to give everyone on his staff a Christmas ham and a Thanksgiving turkey. And still come in under budget.
Mhm.
Bug the fuck out of me for the military.
Because yeah,
Well, I know why. So,
Well, yeah,
so
it's because if you don't
talking about-
spend it, you don't need it for the next year's budget.
exactly,
Because
and it gets
cuts
redundant.
into funding.
Yeah, and they
Yep.
they do that in the civilian sector as well as the military. And it's like you do realize that not every year is going to be sending or spending the exact same amount of money. And it's
Right.
terrible in the military because in that whole thing, so it's like, okay, if he came under budget and he worked in a kitchen, okay, if he came in under budget, all right, and you know you have to still use that, spend that on new cooking utensils. Or new stuff in there that we can be like, no, this is allocated. I mean, like we would always have shit like that, to where it's like we would finally get to where it's like we're at the end of the year and whatnot, you know, because they'd want to freaking hold off on the money until the end of the year. They're like, oh, we're gonna buy this new thing. It's like, why don't you buy stuff for the people who are actually working instead of using that on some dumb shit for the offices?
Mhm.
Like, you wouldn't have had to worry about having to spend the surplus if when people came to you being like, hey, I need this, being like, do you though?
Right.
Do you though?
Exactly. It's infuriating. Yeah. Oh my God! I'm about to spin back to parents.
Okay,
He's about to Luke.
let's see
Full
how this
circle.
goes.
Oh, it just reminds me of the way parents behave. You know, if the military in those whoever in those kinds of situations would pay attention to the people in their charge and pay attention to their needs, things would work out better. And it's the same way with parents. When the school calls home and the school says your kid did something, my God, parents are going to believe the school too often. And a lot of people get that backwards. There's probably like 10% who believe the kid too often. But, and I get that. Those people are a problem. You shouldn't believe your own kid
All the time.
is the ultimate fucking angel, because that's a lie. That's being a parent that's full of shit. But what's also being a parent that's full of shit is when you take the school at their word. Now,
Yes.
what you do when those situations arise, you don't get pissed off at your kid because you've been interrupted at your workday or something. Here's what you do. You say to the school, present your evidence. That's all you have to just say to the school, present your evidence. You realize you're agents of the state, right?
Yeah.
You have to present your evidence. And if you pull any horse shit on my kid without presenting your evidence and without that evidence leading to a proper, logical, reasonable conclusion, you're going to have me to deal with. Don't you fucking forget it.
Oh
Now,
yeah, that's why folks or the staff of the school didn't like my dad so much, because he would be the come in or one to come in, and he'd make sure that they got every kid that was involved in it. Then he would ask them what happened, and when the teacher principal would go to say something like, "I wasn't talking to you. I asked them. You shut up."
Mhm.
That's exactly what a good parent should do. And you got to be prepared. Your kid may be the problem, and that's fine. If your kid's the problem, you're going to have to deal with that.
Then you behave.
Oh yeah.
But
You discipline them.
But if the school cannot present a solid case, you need to put the school in its place.
Oh yeah.
And let them know that we're not going to play these fucking games. I don't care who you think you are. We're not going to play these fucking games. If we're going to claim to be a free society and have these concepts of liberty and this Bill of Rights, then you as agents of the state must conform to the Bill of Rights.
Oh yeah, that was the way my dad went. If like me or my brother were at fault, then we would accept the punishment we were supposed to get. But if it was the fault of someone else, and because my family didn't appear to be wealthy, or which was the case in a lot of things, because there wasn't a lot of people who actually had money. It was they appeared to have money. That all of a sudden, it was obviously our fault. Yeah. So it was that whole thing of like, and I bring it up kind of as a joke, like I had to deal with part of my life of the whole thing of, okay, does this person have an issue with me because of my father or my brother? And the funny part was it was really never students. It was always the adults. For if it was they had a problem maybe typically because of my brother, it means they had my brother as an athlete, and I'm not living up to the athletic ability my brother has. And I'm like, you see, we're two different people, right? Like we have different last names because we're half brothers, so we kind of have half different genetics since we're same mother, different father.
Well, see, the reason I come down so hard on the schools is because they have their zero tolerance policies. There's zero tolerance for drugs, so now a kid can't take an aspirin for a headache. Zero tolerance for weapons, so a kid can't have the proper knife to cut a hunk of steak. And the kid gets punished for saying to the lunch lady, "Hey, is it okay if I have this knife? Because my mom packed it for me."
Yeah.
And boom, call them police in. It's a whole big fucking thing. They make a federal case out of it. And bullshit. You know why I don't like zero tolerance policies?
Mm-hmm.
Because they are anti-due process.
Yeah.
Show me in the Bill of Rights where it says except for people under the age of 18. It doesn't.
Well, for the whole thing as well, for the zero tolerance policy, it's always annoying because they don't enforce it properly. No. They don't enforce it down the board.
Well, no, because look, this happened to my nephew, and I love the way my brother handled this. This kid was fucking with my nephew in the earlier half of his high school career. All right, and it got violent. The kid started hitting my nephew enough that the kid broke his hand on my nephew's face. But my nephew's a big kid, so he wasn't. How do you say this? He wasn't instigating, but he didn't stop it when he damn well could have either, because he knew the rules.
Yeah.
And it was that zero tolerance policy for violence. Well, thanks to that policy, Not only did the bully get punished, but my nephew got punished too for not fighting back, mind you. So my
What
brother
the-
said,
What?
Exactly. because
The zero
because it
tolerance
takes-
policy wouldn't fall into that. It'd be the person who commits the violent act.
No,
Now,
see, this is what I mean. This is why it's anti-due process. This is exactly why it's anti-due process and why I hate it. So my brother said to my nephew, you know what? If you're going to get punished anyway, knock this little shit on his ass.
Yeah,
So?
at least give you a reason to get punished.
So after everyone's suspended for a week or so, everyone goes back to school. His little shit starts up again. And my nephew knocks his ass out. And no one got in trouble and no one started any shit again.
Yep.
This not only see a lot of times tyranny cannot thrive when it is dealt with in a sharp, efficient manner. It's sudden manner too, because you really do have to strike while the iron's hot.
Oh yeah.
My-
First sign of tyranny should stomp that shit out quick.
That's right. These people, what'd they just do on I-5? They a bunch of assholes blocked off I-5.
Yeah.
Yep.
They called it a protest. That's not a protest. That's an act of tyranny. You're
And
impeding.
they should have ran them right over.
Yes, they should have. They're impeding the right of the American people to go about their business.
Oh yeah. What they should have,
That's
and
that's
that
an
whole,
act of tyranny.
well, what they also should have done, and this is always my personal favorite, is they should have actually sent a mail truck through there, because blocking a mail truck is a federal offense.
Yep.
They know what they should have done is send an ambulance. Blocking an ambulance. See how that fucking
No,
works.
blocking an ambulance that I'm aware of is not a federal offense. Now it is
No,
a
that's-
sympathetic offense,
Yes.
but the post office one quite literally is a felon offense. So
Yeah.
every person there that was in the way, doesn't matter on that road, would be held responsible, would have to be arrested, and would have to actually go through a felony court case.
That's if we had law enforcement that did their jobs.
No, well,
No,
that's not
it's
just.
not law
Hold on, it's
Yeah.
not just law enforcement. We do have pussy ass law enforcement that aren't going to do that, but it's also the DA, and it also doesn't help in that situation
Oh,
that
agreed.
the law enforcement are under no actual obligation to legitimately help you.
That's right. Even though they've taken an oath, they've sworn an oath to the Constitution.
Yeah, the Supreme Court freaking brought that one
But
down.
the Supreme Court can go to hell.
Yeah,
Quite honest, I'm
Yeah,
tired
'cause
of
the
I'm
Supreme
tired
Court.
of the red tape.
Yeah, the Supreme Court explained that it is a fundamental principle of an American law that the government and its agents are under no general duty to provide public services, such as police protection, to any individual citizen.
In that case, I hereby activate Amendments 2 and 9.
Yeah.
In the case of the mail truck, that wouldn't be a citizen. That would be a government federal employee.
Yes, that's why I said in that whole thing, though, it would be
It elevates the case.
it
to
elevates the
federal
case to a federal level, so that way the DA and the police department have to act. They are required by law.
Yeah.
So like Tier's saying, oh, let's send an ambulance. Okay, depending on what it is, you're getting a little bit of sympathy. But it's still not going to be much. This is why whenever it came to all the protests before, they would block off the street for like Black Lives Matter or whatnot. People are like, what are you doing? And like, we're blocking off the street because of blah blah. It's like, dude, like, you can minorly impede someone. That'll piss them off and plausibly get them to your side. But if you're stopping traffic entirely, you are not putting them up to your side.
No,
That's like
you're-
that's like the farmers that fucking did that shit to where they dumped fucking dirt into the roads and whatnot. It's like, dude, you don't do that to the regular people. That's putting them against you. You do that to, like, you put that in a fucking politician's driveway or at the end of their driveway.
It's like the Just Stop Oil kids.
yeah.
They're not winning allies. They're pissing more people off and making them more likely to say fuck them.
Yeah.
You
Now, see,
know.
my argument, if the Supreme Court wants to say that police have no duty to serve the public trust, because I guess that's what that is really, is serving the public trust. protecting the innocent,
Mhm.
you know. Though they're not really supposed to protect anyone. They're supposed to investigate crimes, not prevent.
Prevent them.
But
Yes.
prevention is not law enforcement's responsibility. That's ours. And the reason I cite the Second and Ninth Amendment, the Ninth Amendment I'll do first. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. That means the government can't tell you no. If you're doing something that is not violating the rights of another person, the government cannot tell you no. Is essentially what that means.
Mhm.
Now, why the Second Amendment comes into play is not because of guns. They are implicated, but they are not the reason. Let me read that one for you. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, if we were to choose, most people choose two sections of the Second Amendment to piss and moan about. One group will choose the phrase a well-regulated militia. And the other group will say the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I prefer to look at that other part that says the security of a free state.
Well, the reason why they always look at the militia portion and they always want to say well regulated is because like, well, that means we can regulate because they're looking at current definitions of like regulated.
Right.
And
they're wrong.
They're wrong because you have to look at the old way, which was, basically able-bodied men, because at the time it would have been men, not women. So it's like currently be able-bodied adults between the fighting ages of what and whatever are the militia and should be trained and have the knowledge because
to function
properly because they are the necessity of a free state.
Right. Here's the funny part about that. They try to use the well-regulated thing to justify regulating firearms, but it doesn't say well-regulated weapons.
No, it says a well-regulated militia.
Right. So the firearms are free and clear, motherfuckers. I'm going to be that guy. No one argues that way. But my concern is the security of a free state. And if you think about it and you reduce that which threatens the security of a free state to a single word, that word is tyranny.
Mm-hmm.
Ergo, between the Second and Ninth Amendment, the American people have the right to address tyranny so long as they don't violate anyone's rights.
Yeah.
That means that I can arrest the President of the United States. That doesn't mean I'll get away with doing so. Make no mistake, because too many other people who should have this kind of a conscious awareness of this stuff don't have this kind of conscious awareness of this stuff.
Oh,
they don't pay attention. They don't care. They signed on the line. They don't care what the form says. That's what their oath means to them.
Yeah, that's the reason why, even though it was my dad's dream job to be a cop because his godfather was one, and I've looked into it, and like they are in need of police officers, and I'm pretty sure for a lot of the stuff, other than some of depending on the police department, I might not be so good on the cardio currently. It's like I could get into it, but I'm like, I don't know if I necessarily want to.
I mean, right now, no. Right now, cops are just the enforcement arm of a tyrannical regime.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they are. Most of them don't even know it because they've been conned and bullshitted, and their hiring standards have been lowered to non-existence. See the federal case that judged by federal judge. Not Daly, Dorsey. A federal judge named Dorsey in 1999 ruled that an applicant to the New London, Connecticut Police Department could not sue for not being hired, even though he scored highly on all the tests. In fact, they didn't hire him because he scored highly on all the tests.
Oh yeah, God.
This is what that's how you legitimize lowering standards. And it's horseshit. Peter C. Dorsey, federal judge Peter C. Dorsey. He's dead now, by the way. But yeah, he made that ruling in 1999. And all these this is why I don't take these defund the police assholes seriously. Because they don't know the history of some of this stuff. They don't even know some of the names. They don't even know what they're arguing about. They think they're arguing about military trucks, used for civilian police purposes.
Mm-hmm.
They think that's what it's about, and it's not. It's so much deeper.
Oh well, that's always been
Goes
one
so
of the
much
things.
further.
And someone's snoring a bit.
James.
Nope, that's Tier.
James. Tier.
Tier. Wow. I'll let him sleep.
I can always mute him if need be. Like that was always the funny thing of kind of having the conversation with someone and coming to the not really coming to the realization. And I haven't had to have the conversation personally, but seeing the things were like, well, there's law enforcement and there's the regular populace. It's like, no, dude, there's a reason why the cops are called civilian law enforcement. They're still civilians. So they shouldn't be having the same things the military do because they have no reason for it.
Well, no.
They're
right.
civilians. They should have the exact same thing we do. It's the reason why I can't stand when they're like, we're going to do a magazine capacity, but police officers are going to be exempt. We're going to do a thing like they introduced in Michigan, and I think it got voted in, but hasn't been ratified or anything yet, to where the distracted driving law, which is so fucking vague. It could be that I don't have two hands in the steering wheel and I look over to check my mirror. I could be hit for distracted driving, or I go to take a drink of something. But of course, obviously, police officers going to be exempt from that. No, motherfucker, they shouldn't be.
No, they shouldn't.
Agreed.
The only thing that I've openly stated, I think that should be a difference between police officers and it's like civilian law enforcement and regular civilians, is quite literally when they get in trouble and have to go to court and everything because they were in the wrong and did the wrong thing, their penalties should be harsher.
Yes.
Because considering the fact they are law enforcement, are supposed to be enforcing the law, they should know better. And we lost James.
We did.
Oof.
Damn it. There we go.
And what's up, Badger?
Badger.
Bajar. Right on. And it's Jesus. There goes my throat. Hang on. Oh, that's not going to clear up anytime soon.
But yeah, that thing has always bothered me because they'll have freaking SBR or, fucking full auto firearms in their fucking cruiser and whatnot. And it's like, okay, so who is that registered to? Because those things should be registered to the individual. Like, I'm still of the belief that if they're going to have to do any item that would be NFA or the Hughes Amendment, that it should have to be registered to the officer themselves. And if they transfer departments, they have to go through the process, not the department. That person, that officer, has to go through the process of having everything transferred to the new department.
Works for me.
And if anything happens with that firearm that's not supposed to, they are held liable for it because they didn't do what they were supposed to with it. Now, if it's stolen from them and that whole thing, well, it was locked up, I don't think that they would be held liable. Because that's like...
Well, no, but that's provided that there is a report on the theft that is not post-dated.
Yeah.
And that's another can of worms. But going back to what you said about showing up in court, if a cop does not show up in court when they've written a ticket for somebody, then that cop should face a bench warrant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cop didn't show up, case dismissed. No. The cop is using abuse of process to punish somebody. They're using the process as the punishment. So if the cop doesn't show up, then boom, bench warrant. Arrest that motherfucker.
Yeah.
And until the case is adjudicated, pull his card.
Oh, yeah.
See, I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of people in this who work for the state thinking that they look, when you start working for the state, you are less than a citizen. Okay? You become a public servant.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that I get to tell you to carry my luggage or
No,
anything like that, but you become a public servant. You are less than a citizen. Okay? In your capacity working for the state. Or if you want to be a cop and be like, oh, we're always on duty. Well, okay, then you're always less than a citizen.
yeah.
Fucker.
Hmm.
And you're going to have to remember your place. We own this country, not you.
But I'm also of the belief as well that like civil asset forfeiture should be completely removed.
Yes.
But that needs to be done
Absolutely
completely
should.
federally as well.
Well, because that again, that is that's another violation of due process.
Oh yeah.
And quite honestly, look, you spend time from your life that you'll never get back
Mm-hmm.
to acquire your property.
Yeah.
And these people who want to say, well, you think your property is worth taking someone's life? Yes, I do. That's a portion of my life that I'm not getting back.
Well, that's like whenever it comes to like they implemented a form of red flag law that's definitely actually going to get kicked down because I think it's supposed to be technically on the 15th is when it starts, but it's supposed to start this month.
Yeah.
In the city I live in, they tried to use it as justification, even though it's not implemented, because a guy was open carrying a rifle and someone said he brandished it, even though he never did. So he got arrested and they went to his house and took the rest of his firearms because a judge signed off on it. Now, that is illegal. That they're trying to say with this law is no, it's not illegal because you'll still have your day in court. No, you took action on my firearms to take my stuff before I ever had due process.
Yep.
That is theft.
Yes, it is.
Because my dad apparently got to talk to the judge afterwards since he knows the fucker somehow. I guess he went to like school with him or knew him when he was a reservist in the police department. He's like, the fuck are you thinking? It's like, you realize you just cost the city a fuck ton of money. It's like, one, because that wasn't due process. And two, especially after I told him, I was like, yeah, that law hasn't gone into effect yet. It doesn't go until 2024. Because this happened like summer of 2023. And he's like, wait, what?
It's like, yeah, you fucked, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Even if you give everything back right now, Jimmy, you're fucked.
Oh, yeah. And the DA is going to lose his job.
Yeah.
But every police
Hopefully.
officer that was a part of that should lose their job.
Yep.
Or should have
Because, ignorance of the law is no excuse, right?
well, I'm of the belief not necessarily do they need to be fired, but I will say I think that they should have to go a minimum of 4 weeks plus without pay.
No.
So, well, I'm saying suspended
I don't
from
wanna be-
suspended
we-
from their
we
job. Hold on. Suspended from their job for a minimum of 4 weeks without pay, with no plausibility of ever receiving back pay or anything from that. Quite literally, it's basically like being fired, but they can still have a potential to go back. This is on early offenses. As things accumulate to the person and it gets to basically the second to plausibly third offense, then it is an outright firing and you are to be blacklisted from police departments.
Do you know how many firearms they took from that guy?
I do not know.
Even a rough estimate?
I do know it was double digits.
Okay. So let's say 20.
Yeah. Well, I'm using that whole thing as the suspension in general.
Well, here's what
Yeah.
I'm getting at. If you or I stole 20 firearms from somebody,
Oh,
how would the law land on us?
we're fucking prison time.
Yeah, exactly.
Theft of a firearm is a 5
Same
years
thing
minimum.
for the judge. Same thing for a prosecutor who was
Oh, yeah.
involved in that theft as an accessory before the fact or after the fact, even. Same thing for each officer involved. Everyone involved in any capacity should be facing a criminal prosecution.
Well, it's like I have a major thing against red flag laws, and I'm
so do I.
mostly
They're almost
parodying
always-
or repeating what Coleon Noir said, but he basically said it the best is if you're going to use a red flag law because you think I'm going to commit a crime or I am mentally unwell, you either need to have the actual evidence to prove I'm going to commit a crime or have committed a crime, or go through the process to have me mentally adjudicated to where I can be committed. Otherwise, you don't have the right to do any of that, and you are going against due process.
Well, yeah. See, my position is that a red flag law is a false flag law.
Yeah. Well, and we've seen different variations of when it's been, or I shouldn't say different variations of people that have just outright abused it because they're in the medical field and, you know, they're anti-gun.
Yes. Or if it, for example, women who falsely accuse their husbands of child abuse. Well, let's not even say men and women. Let's say spouses who falsely accuse their spouse of child abuse during a divorce case.
Oh God, that shit pisses me off.
We know that happens. Okay.
Oh,
never
yeah.
mind the results of it. We know that happens. We know that there are women in this world who will file false rape charges.
Yeah.
And for nothing more than to avoid a little embarrassment. Okay. We know these things exist, and you want to start passing red flag laws? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
How stupid are you? Oh, no one would ever abuse.
Well, I know that you always hear the one story that from some woman that's just like, my son or daughter, if they had gone, anybody would take your guns. Been like, well, maybe you should have been better on your fucking son or daughter and gone through and, like I said, had them fucking get mentally adjudicated. But then again, I'm also the same person that thinks that if a person, especially at any age, goes and seeks mental help to get better, they shouldn't lose their fucking Second Amendment rights. There have been people that have gone at the age of 18 because they were in a bad relationship that had a bad breakup, and they felt bad, but because they went and sought help to not be suicidal or something like that, they can no longer own a firearm. That's fucking bullshit.
Right. I mean, the fact that you're seeking help is an indicator that you are sound mind.
Yeah.
But hey, you know what? Don't seek help anymore. In fact, let's turn the page, or not turn the page, but let's flip the page around a bit and start applying this abuse of process the other way for a little while. A cop is an asshole. Call CPS and report him.
Yeah,
because CPS doesn't need a warrant.
Nope.
CPS doesn't need jack shit. They'll walk right all over you. Call CPS on the cop. Start doing that shit, okay?
Well, that's like the fun part for here is because like being a concealed carry holder, I have to even like when walking, like if they ask me about something, I'd have to show them my ID if I am carrying, which is a dumbass fucking law. Well, I think that's predominantly if I'm a passenger in a vehicle. I got to relook up the law if I'm walking and that whole thing. But they, per their department policy, can ask to see this firearm to make it safe. You do not have to let them see the firearm at all.
Because a law and a policy are two different things.
Exactly.
They are not policy enforcement.
Yeah, my dad had made that mistake at once, but because of that, he actually brought the cop to court and forced him to, or it's like, and he got suspended for a improper use of policy, disassembling a firearm that wasn't his and just dropping the parts on the ground. So he did have to pay for any damages of that. So it's like, and it's like, it was in a locked container on my dad's motorcycle. It's like, there was no reason for him to do that, but I'll be the person that if I'm, I get pulled over, but I don't typically do anything more than the speed limit or I go with traffic. Like if they pull me over, I'm going to tell them, I have a firearm on me. If they're like, oh, can I see it to make sure it's safe? No, you cannot. There's no law that says I have to. And this might seem like I'm sassing you, but no, I do not have to. And when they try to say, well, this is for my protection, then get a different job.
Yeah. I'm tired of that excuse too. Officer safety. Yeah, you don't care about anyone's safety when you're shooting a dog, do you?
Oh, okay. If we're going to go into that one, here's the funniest thing. So this is kind of shifting gears, still sticking with guns and police, but going away from that. Do you know why the police officers, or the FBI was the original one to go back to the 9mm, why they did?
Why?
Because on average, for local, county, state, and national and federal agents, to include them into it, have an average on target hit rate of 20 to 30%.
Oh, Jesus.
It has been that bad since before I was ever born. So they went away from the 40 Smith & Wesson because they did find that there are some rounds they can use that will work almost as good as 40 Smith & Wesson or 45 ACP in their premium ammo, but they're specific loads. So they went to something that has typically, depending on the thing, 2 more rounds than a 40 Smith & Wesson and doesn't have the recoil. And it doesn't technically increase the percentage. It's just they're hoping by adding those extra rounds, it's going to be the likelihood that they will hit, or it may increase the likelihood. It's like, well, because again, going back to my dad as a reservist, his godfather went through the whole thing because he was a dude who had a Colt 357 Magnum single action double action revolver. I think it was a Colt Trooper or something.
All right.
But at like the 20 yards or whatever it was they had to do for their whole thing, he could put all 6 rounds, shooting one-handed, into a snuff can, if not a silver dollar.
Right. Back when hiring standards were not so low.
Everyone else still had a hard time qualifying on their yearly qualification.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
So, well, he actually, the captain finally went through and allowed him to do what he wanted to do. And he made everyone practice a minimum of once a week at that whole thing, but they had to move in closer till they got within it, and then they could slowly move back. And by that like 6-month mark, everyone passed with flying colors.
Right. Again, high standards.
Yeah. Well, and that one,
it's not just having the high standards. It is implementing a system to help people achieve those standards.
Yeah, I say it's not.
But there are people in the business or in the profession now who will never meet those standards.
Oh yeah, I'll say in that whole thing, it wasn't the fact of having high standards. It was, these are the standards, but because you're not doing what we're not doing what we should have been doing, we're going through the process to make sure they can meet those standards.
Yes. And ideally exceed them.
Yeah. That was always the fun part when I was in the military, and we'd have people that would go and for the qualification, they're like, you can't shoot. It's like, people would be like, well, you can't shoot a rifle. It's like, dude, there are some people in this. It's like, because unlike the Army, the Marine Corps, in certain aspects of, or certain jobs of set military branches, the only time someone handles a firearm is when they're going to deploy.
Right.
Like for what I did, I was supposed to have a yearly qualification with the M9 and the M4. The only times I actually had to go qualify is when I was going to deploy or when I went to frickin' go to Japan.
Yeah. So basically it's how do you phrase it? It's, look, we're going to get good at those things. People in general are going to get good at those things that they do on a regular basis.
Yeah.
If you only ever hold the weapon when you deploy, you're not going to get that good with it. Mm-hmm. It's unless you're deploying every other week, I guess.
Yeah.
But then you have other problems.
It's that whole thing. If you're only going to get that way, or if you were doing what I was trying to do and just never got there because I didn't get the red dot for it, to where I had my own AR that I was making a basically semi-auto clone of the M4 minus the length. So I could get familiar with everything else and put that in my hands more often.
Right. And it's funny too. We people will make assumptions about other people when it comes to firearms. Like I mentioned before, I'm the youngest. Okay. So one day I go to my brother's house and he and my nephews are out shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Because big old hunk of land, nothing behind them. Fuck, let's go shooting. And we're just shooting. just shooting a 22 rifle, right?
Yeah.
Nothing fucking special about it, just a little 22 rimfire fucking.
Fucking barrels of fun though.
Yeah. Good plinky plunky kind of.
Oh
fun.
yeah.
And like, hey Mitch, you want to take fire off? I'm like, sure. So they hand me the rifle. I make sure it's loaded. And I put it up to my shoulder and I take aim. And I hear my brother say, watch, I bet he doesn't know the safety's on. To one of my nephews. Well, unbeknownst to my brother, I did know the safety was on. I had already disengaged. And as it happens at I want to say maybe 20 or 30 yards. I'm not good at judging distance.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll say 20 yards just to give the distance the benefit of the doubt. At 20 yards, shooting at a 2-liter bottle filled with water, I shot the cap off it.
Nice.
That was the first shot. There was another bottle. I don't know how this happened, but you know how bullets will tumble and do weird shit?
Oh yeah.
The other cap, I shot the back out of without hitting the front. And that's that shot. That's the shot. That's the shot you're never going to do again. It's never going to happen again. Don't look for it because it's a once in a lifetime thing.
Oh yeah.
Unless
you're a trick shot artist, yeah, just let it go.
Yeah. This is the thing about leaving on a high note. And then I did it before years earlier with a paintball rifle of mine, my new paintball rifle, my first one, and it sucked. This thing shot in a spiral pattern. Okay, the paintball would exit the barrel and just go in a big old spiral and miss everything I'm shooting at. Well, we get to this paintball field, and the owner of this field had shaved the branches off these eucalyptus trees, and they were fucking tall as fuck. And he had shimmied up and put pie plates way up high in these trees as targets for people to near the chronograph station to aim and shoot at, to zero in. Way the fuck up there, right? So I get up to the table and there's a bunch of guys trying to shoot this one pie plate, and they're missing it every fucking time. And when they stop to reload, this was fucking perfect. I figure, okay, I'm going to take one shot and then walk away. So I put up my arm, take the one shot, hits it right in the middle. The one and only time that paintball rifle shot accurately. I looked at the guys, nodded a couple times, and just walked away. Because I knew I would never make the shot again. It was great.
Oh yeah.
I love that. That's leaving the stage on a high note.
Oh yeah, because that was like my first outing with a. Because my dad had gotten both me and my brother the exact same 22 LR rifle. Just I had mine and he had his. Well, he got to go out to the range with my mom's father. So the grandfather on my mom's side, and my dad and him went out and shot that whole thing and whatnot. And at the range that they went to, which was closer to my grandfather's place, had this spinner target that had 6 targets that you could spin that were probably like, I don't know how big they were for little steel targets and whatnot. Well, then like a week or two later, I went with, my dad and my grandfather, and my dad, 6 shots, 6 spinning.
Yep.
My grandfather, 5 shots, 5 spinning, took the other 5 shots in the bag to get that last one spinning. Me, I got to 5 and I could not for the life of me get the last one. And apparently when my brother found out about it, he was super pissed because he could only get like 2 or 3.
Here you are upset at yourself because you couldn't get the last one. Your brother's just going, you fucker.
Yeah. Oh, the funniest thing on that one is because of like, this is also the same man who spent years basically just crushing me at sports. Like It'd be me and a friend or me and my cousin playing against my brother, and he's still kicking our ass in the sport.
Yeah.
And at one point in my life, I start getting into billiards. So playing like not straight 8-ball, but like a variation of that, or 9-ball and whatnot. And I just had one day to where it's like, yeah, he had like 1 or 2 shots on the table because I only missed 1 or 2 times, but I wrecked his ass, and he flat out was like, I'm not playing anymore. Both my cousins looked at him, they're like, are you fucking kidding me? And he's like, what? Like, you have kicked his ass at almost every fucking sport for decades. The one game he beats you in, and you're pissed?
Well, yeah. It's because his he got used to a standard of living. You know.
They're like, bro, it's like you can't be mad at this. This isn't a bigger, faster, stronger thing. This is just this is fucking geometry, and he's good at it.
Thing. It's just a different discipline thing, man.
Yeah, I took to billiards better than he did. He just, for some odd reason, got upset about it.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason to.
Winning.
Yeah.
My roommate is a terrible loser. We would play Trivial Pursuit, and I would win. We would play Monopoly, and she would win. Until this one time, I finally beat her at a Monopoly game, and she refused to play with me again until we graduated high school.
Jesus.
Yeah, board games where I think
I beat her that time, and we didn't play again for like another 10 years.
Yeah, board games were like the only ones that my brother did not really care about losing, but typically him and I didn't play them together because it was usually my dad somehow, it's like my dad was usually involved in that as well. Which is why after a certain time frame we never play, or after I think it was about 6 or 7 years old, we no longer played Monopoly. Because we had a couple of friends over, my friend and his older brother, which was kind of friends with my brother, even though that he was still a bit younger. And the 4 of us and my father said, since it was going to be a sleepover and whatnot, decided we were going to play Monopoly. Well, within about an hour or so, my friend was out. Within about 2 to 3 hours, it's like his brother was out. About 8 hours later, my brother was out, and it was 6 in the morning when my mom walked in, and she's like, what the hell's going on? And I was close to beating my dad. And she's like, you guys are done. And my dad's just like, didn't lose. He was like, that was fucking close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like for things like board games and cards where like for some odd reason, because like I said, it was typically would have more of the family play, that he didn't get mad about that because it was always a luck of the draw and the whatnot.
No, she was. It was so ridiculous. I was just like, I can't believe this shit.
Because that's like, it was always fun when we had enough people to play a full 6-player game. Well, technically it'd be 3 teams of the game Aggravation.
Ah.
Oh, that game was a fun game.
I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure I know that game. But I think I know it by a different name.
Yeah, basically, it's kind of like in a way I'm sorry, or it's like sorry but not, because it's like you have 6 things where it's like you have to roll a specific die, or it's like a number to get out of the basically base, and you go around the board to try to get back to the whole thing. But whenever you get there, you actually still have to get, it's like you stop until you roll the specific number to get in that whole thing. And if you have more than, or if you have the 6 players or 4 players, you can play in teams. So you still play for yourself once one character or once one player has all 4 of their marbles in the home instead of being in base. And that whole thing, their rolls count for their teammate. And it's that whole thing that if like your marble lands on theirs because of a die, their marble gets sent back to base.
Ouch.
So, yeah, that was always the fun one. And after a while, with some of my parents' friends who came over, I wasn't allowed to be to play aggravation anymore,
Wow.
unless I was someone else's partner, because I would usually be, it was either my brother's or my dad's partner. So just after a bit, it was just like, okay, you're not allowed, because I got pretty lucky on the dice roll, and I got just vindictive on. It's like not vindictive, just like super petty, or just for no odd reason. I just loved fucking with people in that game,
Wow.
because I would quite literally, especially if it was one of us was done, go after specific people.
You took the name seriously.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
it was fun.
Your competitive side came out.
Oh, and that one, it wasn't necessarily competitive because I didn't care if I won as long as I fucked them over.
Oh, yeah, it's like playing Uno with no stakes, you know?
Oh yeah, or Skip Boo, if you remember that
Because-
game.
Oh yeah. Well, in Uno and
Yeah.
games of that nature, people get fucking. They take that shit serious.
I still like Frosty. My brother was a sore loser too. I beat him one time at Russian roulette, and he never plays again.
That's some shit, Run.
Ah, it was frosted.
Wow. Ah,
It's true though, man. It's some people just can't handle being on the losing end.
Yeah,
It's it's what you did when they lost to you is you gave them new things to think about.
hmm
You gave them an opportunity to grow as a person.
well, that was always just the funny part for things of like finally being able to beat my brother at things, because like I'm 4 years younger than him, so for years it would have been that whole thing, like especially with sports, like I'm not gonna be able to compete with him. He's bigger, faster, and stronger.
Yeah.
Except for when he had his knee issue, because like when we fought, we were exponentially brutal, and then after shit, I can't remember what age it was, because like it finally got to the point to where, especially in the winter, he would stop like seats. He would see the bus, then for no odd reason, just throw me down and start kicking the shit out of me. The bus driver talked to my dad, got that one stopped. Like she didn't intervene, but she got that one stopped and whatnot. And then the whole thing of because he would occasionally do that shit on the bus, but he would be like ridiculous at it or whatnot. And one time some other kid tried that and my brother kicked the shit out of him. He's like, no, he's my brother.
Yep.
You know, that it's like we were the same ones that's like, oh god, at real little, my dad told me about this story. It's one of the funniest ones to me. We were playing with toy cars, and you know, this is back in the day, since we all kind of had this of like metal toys.
Oh yeah.
And my brother, all for some odd reason, wanted to play with the toy car I had, and I was like, no, because it's my toy. So he tried to do the whole thing of like, oh, I'm going to play with these other toys to make them seem interesting, so you'll let go of that one. And when he tried that, at one point, I went, no, and I fucking hit him with the car, like almost like I was punching him, but with the car. And my dad had like listened and got the whole thing to where he was going through it. My brother tries to run upstairs. He's like, could you hit me with the car? And he's just like, no, I know everything that happened. You're not allowed to. He's like, you antagonize that one. That this ain't happening.
Yep. Yeah, you
You
know,
started the fight.
Yeah.
2 minutes for instigating. Basically.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly legit. You know, that reminds me of the because you know when you're a kid you pick up a stick and it's a sword, right?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Because that's how it works. Well, me and same brother, by the way, as with the 22 rifle. He would do this thing where he would spin the sword, not like fancy. Just he would just twirl it around in a circle.
Mhm.
out in front of himself. And it's not even really twirling it. It's I can't.
It's
describe it.
something, but it was fancy to you guys.
No, it wasn't that it was fancy, but he would just hold it out right straight in front of him, and it's like he was drawing a circle with it, and he would do that and then strike, and and he'd use that as a that little circle thing as a
Distraction.
yes, basically, and I'm a little kid, and we're supposed to be bashing swords together because that's what sword fighting is.
Yeah.
To a little kid. Well, he went about his life, I went about mine. And this is we're now talking decades before we really meet face to face again. And in that time, I had learned how to use a sword properly. It gets funny though. So for his kids, I'm getting, I got some of that foam pipe insulation and some broomsticks, or no, closet rods. No, it was broomsticks. And put the insulation on the broomsticks, so no one gets hurt. And
Yeah,
here
basically
we got,
fancy wooden dolls.
yeah. But hey, we got swords we can play with and beat the hell out of each other. No one gets hurt.
Yeah.
Practice swords.
Or at least
cool.
they're less likely to get hurt because
Yes. I mean, there's still
Oh, trust me, it hurts.
I like to think there are always possibilities. Let's put it that way.
I mean, there's always possibilities to get hurt physically. Plus, you can always get
emotional damage.
That too.
He did it.
I do a thing called Bellamorph.
So
They're actually fighting with foam weaponry.
oh yeah,
So-
it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I like I said, I learned how and I became pretty good. So we get those put together, and my brother shows up, and he's going to get in on this action too. He takes one of the practice swords. I take one of the practice swords, and just like when we were little, he started doing his thing with drawing that circle with the sword, and I was fucking falling for it. It was, and it took about 3 seconds, and my brain finally clicked into what's going on because now I've got experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I realized he had another trick that he would do with it. He would go around me in a circle as well, while I'm at the center spinning and getting dizzy.
Mm-hmm.
So that
And
was
they're
part of-
following them.
yeah. So what I did is I didn't move as he moved, and I kept my guard up. I didn't try to engage at all. And but I would, once he got outside of my peripheral vision, I would turn.
Yeah.
So I wasn't moving in a way that would make me dizzy, and I wasn't falling for his trick. And that's when it was weird. It's like a veil had been lifted.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
The fog had
Then
cleared.
Then he tried to strike, and I'd block. He'd strike, and I'd block. He'd strike, and I'd block, and he couldn't get through. And that's when the lesson really hit home about some of the shit you see in Star Wars, and you're talking about the Force
Mm-hmm.
and how when you're calm and at peace, you make better decisions and all that shit. A lot of that shit really landed that day, and because now I had a practical experience that illustrated it.
Oh yeah, that was always the funny thing when you look back. I know a lot of people like the prequels, but you had like Liam Neeson and God damn it,
Jet
McGregor.
Jaguar. What's his name?
no, not McGregor,
Ian McGregor.
not Ian McGregor.
The irritating kid.
No,
Hayden Christensen.
no, played Count Dooku. I'm so
Oh, Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee.
yeah, Sir Christopher Lee. Both of them are trained in actual swordsmanship, so they kept kind of fucking over what what Lucas wanted to do for the choreography because they knew how to properly use a sword.
Yeah,
It's easier to. All right, so this is an old military tactic anyway. Piss off your enemy, and he makes mistakes because he's fucking angry.
Mm-hmm.
So he's
And-
doing dumb shit.
But to go into the one thing, I do believe Camel was quoting Robin Hood Men in Tights. Thrust, Harry, good.
It's so true though. A lot of that shit they say that it's just Space Wizard TV movie fucking show, whatever. And you kind of dismiss it, but there are some things there that are really quite applicable. Especially, everyone looks at the saber duel between Vader and Obi-Wan in the original movie, and by all measures, it's as boring as it gets compared to what we see since then.
Oh yeah, but it wasn't meant to be an actual duel or anything. It's more of a conversation.
Not only that, but we're dealing with two expert swordsmen, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't the two samurai who come to the bridge.
Yeah.
It's not that scenario, and they both walk away because no one would win. It's not that. This is two swordsmen who have learned that all the spinning, flippity-floppy horse shit and all that stuff is a waste of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And they've only learned it because Vader is a cripple and doesn't have the energy to expend. Obi-Wan is an old man and doesn't have the energy to expend. So they have to operate with a sense of efficiency in their saber duel.
Well, they've also learned that whole thing. And not only is it a waste of energy, not that necessarily they can't do it, but it's just going to diminish what they'll be able to do exponentially faster. So it's a smarter idea to basically keep calm, keep your center, and wait for your opponent to potentially make a mistake.
Well, technically, look at where they fought. Like, they were fighting in a closed hallway. That flippy shit wouldn't have fucking mattered because there's nowhere to go. And Obi-Wan went there to die.
I don't think he went there to die.
I think he went there to die. He knew he wasn't going to win. He even stated, to strike me down and I'll become even stronger.
Strike me down and I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Because he knew he was going there to die. It was his end. He was not winning this fight. Like, it was not his fight to win.
Right. I mean, it really wasn't. That's the incredible thing. When you look at a bunch of the like that, we just covered the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at Empire Strikes Back, that duel between Vader and Luke, that's just Vader fucking with Luke.
Oh yeah.
Up until a certain point.
Well, yeah.
When Luke strikes him in the arm.
When Luke finally tags him, Vader figures, okay, now I can stop fucking around.
Yeah.
But up to that point, it really is just Vader fucking with Luke. And Luke is just not faring well. I mean, Vader started off one-handed, for fuck's sake.
And then he gets pissed.
Well, yeah, because he's letting Luke's emotions get the better of him.
Well, yeah, that's because that's going to drag him down the dark side. And also, it's to exhaust him and to figure out what his skill level is.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Vader found out because Luke let go a bit and tagged him. Oh, that whole thing. And then we get to Return of the Jedi.
They took him seriously.
That throne room scene, the best way I can think of to describe that is that it's not a fight between Luke and Vader. It's a fight between Luke and the Emperor. Luke's weapon is his lightsaber. The Emperor's weapon is Vader. And that just casts a whole different fucking light on that battle. Mm-hmm. And it's great. It is fucking beautiful.
That's a new way to look at it. You're okay.
And it's because the Emperor's trying everything to flip Luke to spin to the dark side. And for a second, Luke, I think, actually took that first step when he force grabbed his lightsaber and went to strike the Emperor. Strike me down with your weapon,
He almost fell. Yes.
He took that first step.
Well, I don't think the Emperor's goal. Like, all right, so you know the rule of two, right? In Star Wars,
yeah,
always a master, there's always a master, and there's always an apprentice, and there's always an apprentice waiting to kill the master to take his place.
Yes.
I honestly think the Emperor wanted Luke to kill him.
From what I can remember in that whole thing, I actually, if I remember correctly, the Emperor Palpatine's original plan was to actually have Luke take over as Vader's spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if
If it did cost him his life, then that'd be okay. But it was kind of like the same thing with Palpatine. You know, it's like, well, I say kind of same thing, but like having a Dooku be the whole thing of like having a different apprentice who's stronger, younger, more virile, so that way he can basically always have someone there to push to be even further.
Yeah, and then we get to the prequel trilogy.
That's
and
why,
it's not-
that's why to cut in for a
special
little bit.
effects.
Yeah, to cut in, it's like basically like when he was saying, it's like Luke's weapon was his lightsaber. Palpatine's weapon was Vader. He knew Vader was going to protect him up until he actually was able to get him, you know, be like, no, I still see the light in you and whatnot.
He overplayed his hand.
pretty much.
He massively overplayed his hand. He
The
thought that
Emperor-
Luke couldn't turn him.
The Emperor, Luke was right. The Emperor's confidence was his undoing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was a massive overplay.
But man, movies used to do things and say things. They used to have something to say instead of telling you what to think.
Well, I mean,
I
you
miss those
still
days.
get that in some, but just not near as much.
Oh, they're just so much
Few
harder
and
to
far
find.
between.
Yeah. Like I've seen it a bit more in like typically in indie movies, in some horror movies, because you're not really going to get that in action because there's no real reason for it to be in action.
Right. Have you seen what the hell's it called?
Who's in it?
Tom Matthews. Never Hike Alone 2.
No, I haven't.
Never High Cologne.
Yeah, that one.
No,
Yeah,
Never
Never-
High Cologne.
You're pulling. I know what you're doing there.
I'm sorry. Every time I hear it said, I
know.
always
Ever since
look
I
it
think it
up.
was James who brought it up. It does. I hear it too. But in Never Hike Alone 2, there's one. It's the scene I mentioned in my review of it on my Rumble channel. There's this moment between Tommy Jarvis, who is now an ambulance driver, and Dr. Hill out in the parking lot at the hospital. And without really knowing it, there's an understanding between them because her son has been killed by Jason in the prequel Never Hike in the Snow. That was her son that got killed. And Tommy has been dealing with Jason Voorhees since he was a teenager, since he was fucking 8 years old, I guess.
Yeah.
Since he was a really young kid. So he's got all this trauma about Jason Voorhees. Dr. Hill doesn't realize that no, Never Hike Alone is not a sequel to Brokeback Mountain. It at least until there's a porn version of Never Hike. But anyway, there's an what do you call it when two people meet and they have a similar thing going on and they meet and they just know? A commiseration.
Okay.
But this isn't. No, it's commiseration when they, like if me and so and so have a common issue in our background and we can get together and talk about what works for you. That's commiseration.
Yeah.
This is unspoken between them, and they never mention a word of it, but it's still there between them.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful scene because it's unspoken.
Well, it's like I still like what and I'll give him props for it, especially over his other work, Jordan Peele's work of Nope. He goes through the whole process of instead of trying to go through and explain specific things, the only thing he brings up for like especially the main creature of the whole thing is that it follows predatory aspects of what a lot of predators do and how because he's an animal, the main character is an animal handler of things that you're not supposed to do that would either cause it to go into a fight or flight mode, especially like what would be considered acts of aggression.
Yeah.
But you don't get the whole thing of, where it's from, any intended purpose. They're just like, nope, this is the whole thing of what's going on with it.
he didn't do that dumbass shit where he tried to explain it, and he should just go, it's fucking magic and deal with it.
Yeah.
Or it's like, no, seriously. In his first two movies, he gives this scientific explanation for this magical shit.
Yeah, he tries to have it. It's like, and granted, you can have supernatural going with science fiction and that whole thing, but because there are certain ones that do it, he just didn't do it well.
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars and midichlorians.
Yeah.
Thank God they were retconned.
No, you don't insert midichlorians into your story.
No, for that one, you leave it more fantastical.
Yeah.
But they were retconned out, so thank God.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying that Jordan Peele probably learned that lesson too. There is a desire to explain things. There really is. Like it in my Halloween reboot idea that I mentioned you.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of when I commit that to my Rumble channel, there's a lot that I want to say because I want to explain it. But I recognize that my explaining Michael's motivations is not for the purpose of what gets put on screen in the movie.
Yeah. With what we're going as well is like sometimes like some of the magic just needs to be left alone. Like especially when you're looking at a horror movie, sometimes where the monster comes from
isn't
relevant or necessary.
It is relevant, but it's not relevant in the way that you put it on screen for the fans to you don't tell the audience, like Frosted said, you don't tell the audience things, you let them figure it out.
Yeah.
And my purpose for developing a motive for Michael Myers and I guess sort of a thought process for him is not to tell the audience, but it's to keep the sequels consistent.
Yeah.
So it's really a tool that you use behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is, once I go public with that, with what I think that motivation is and how it would work, people are going to, even though I use the disclaimer, this is not what we're going to see on screen. This is what we're going to use to keep the stories consistent behind the scenes. Even though I say that, someone's going to say, you can't put that on screen because we're not supposed to know why Michael Myers, but we're going to still have that guy. And that's going to frustrate the shit out of me. But behind the scenes, you do have to know these things. Jordan Peele, I'll bet you anything, Jordan Peele worked all that shit out behind the scenes in order to keep things consistent. And he wanted to explain it so badly that it made it into the script.
Yeah. It's just, it was a bad explanation. But it's been almost 2 hours and 10 minutes. We didn't spend majority of it talking movies like we had on the last couple of talking to the voice. Like, holy shit, we were on freaking Parents and Police for a while.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But for that, thanks everyone for showing up who did show up. I know I think Monkey was taking a night off as well and everything. Batman, thanks for subscribing. Go check out my previous video I made last night that I should have double checked the levels. I think I figured something out with sounds to where it'll stop fucking changing my shit. Probably not, because I am a mostly functioning idiot and technology is not always my strongest factor. But we are going to get out of here, so I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the outro to where it's going to have some music going on.
Yeah.
And it's the same song as before.
Aww.
And that, but have a good one, everyone.
Shake it naked.
Thanks for showing up. Have a good week. And go to stop stream and